For years ago. Kakin, leave me alone already. I already told you I couldn't show you my quirk because it's against the law to use quirks in public without a hero license. A young Midoriya cries at a blonde boy with explosive hands. Bullshit, Deku. We all know you're just using that excuse as a cop-out to avoid the fact that you really are just quirkless. Smirking, the boy continues, I bet that's really how your mom died. She couldn't handle having a quirkless little Deku, so she killed herself. The boy laughs while his hands start to spark, readying himself to beat the cowering boy in front of him. Mouth aghast at the fact his former childhood friend would ever say such a thing, the young boy clenches his fist, stopping himself from attacking the boy in front of him, instead fighting back with his words. Shut up, Kakin. You know my mom died from that villain attack last year. Tears of anger spilling, Izuku continues, and she loved me. Something you wouldn't know about since your mom doesn't at all. I doubt she even wanted you with the way she constantly hits you. Izuku can't help but yell now, a burst of bravery washing over him as he spouts back insults to Bakugo, stunning the blonde momentarily from being spoken back to by the so-called quirkless boy. Both are silent, taking in what the other has said. That is until Midoriya notices Kakin's reddened face and angered expression. I know I shouldn't have said that about his mom, but he shouldn't have implied it first, Midoriya thinks, still watching the childhood bully. Foaming at the mouth, Bakugo readies his hands to kill Deku for even daring to insinuate his mother didn't love him. He ignores the fact he just suggested the same thing to the boy in front of him because he's quirkless, saying the latter doesn't apply to him, not really. Deku, I'm gonna count to 0, then I'm gonna kick your ass, got it? Cracking his knuckles with a vicious smile on his face, Bakugo ignites his hand, aiming towards his target. Ready? An angry Bakugo yelps at seeing a boy pop up from the ground. Hold on just a second. Appearing from the ground is a grinning Tin copycat, who steps in front of Midoriya just in time to stop the incoming hit from Bakugo. Who the hell are you, cartoon face? Bakugo yells, halting his attack just in time to avoid hurting a random person who could cause a mark on his perfect record. Not that he really cares, but even one mark could damage his chances of getting into the best hero school in all of Japan. I am Mirio Togata. Now what's going on here? The Tin wannabe says, smiling. However, this guy is far from happy. Bakugo has seen smiles like this before, and the boy in front of him is far from cheerful. There's hot anger underneath that smile. He's learned to tell the difference from seeing his mom pissed off at him, and she really means it. He realizes he's taken too long examining the boy defending Deku when the kid, Mirio, takes a step closer to him. Let me ask again, what's going on here? Mirio asks, smiling even wider now. All of a sudden, Bakugo feels sweat go down his back, and his hands twitching, which is a new feeling for him. He can't describe what he's feeling. Fear? It's fear. But he knows he doesn't like it. Bakugo has fought bigger kids than this blondie before, defeated multiple people with his quirk no problem, but for some reason he thinks no feels like this guy may be out of his league. So, he does the only logical thing he can think of now and lies knowing that would be better than trying to fight the guy. Stupid Deku here and I were just playing hero and villain. He fell while I was trying to catch him and then started crying like a baby. Bakugo lies easily, not a stutter or stall in his speech. For a solid minute, nothing happens and Bakugo thinks he's going to get off, that perhaps the guy believed what he said. Then he sees in the boy's eyes he isn't buying it. That's funny because I could have sworn you were going to blow this boy's face off with your explosive quirk. Right after you told him his mother killed herself because, what was it? Oh yes, he was quirkless. The seemingly harmless, but he knows probably not, boy says. There's no hesitation when Bakugo runs away from his opponent for the first time in his life. Izuku is still laying on the ground though, astonished by what he's witnessed. For the first time ever, someone was standing up to Kakin. No one has ever done this, and for him no less. He can see the moment Bakugo realizes he made a mistake trying to lie to Mirio because there's some sort of underlying strength to him even if he is just a few years older. The air around them tenses and even he feels sweat beating down his brow. The moment Bakugo runs away is when Izuku realizes this is a kid not to be messed with. This boy, Mirio, he's what a hero is supposed to be. It's then that Izuku realizes something. All Might may be his idol, but Mirio is his hero. Can you tell me where you live, so I can tell your dad what happened? The boy now identified as Mirio asks. Izuku looks down because it was already brought up with Bakugo, but just being reminded, even by accident, by Mirio that he has no parents to go to stings. A lot. I don't have any. My mom's dead and my dad gave me up, Izuku says, downtrodden by what he's revealed. Sighing, Izuku looks at the time and is reminded he has a curfew for the orphanage. He knows they won't care one way or another if he shows up, but still he's tired and wants to go to bed. Anyways, thanks for helping me with Kakin, but I have to go if I want to make it back in time to the orphanage. Waving goodbye, both kids see each other off. Izuku is halfway to the orphanage when he realizes he's being followed. He's always had great analyzing skills and was very perceptive. He needed to if wanted to avoid his bullies, but trying to pinpoint the person following him just proves futile since every time he looks around there's no one in sight. He continues this way until he hears shuffling behind him, and turning around quickly, he's able to see someone sink into the ground just in time, piece things together. Earlier, the boy who helped him, Mirio, had a quirk that let him phase in and out, and when putting two and two together, Izuku connects that he must be the one following him. For a moment, Izuku feels fuzzy. Then it passes. It continues for a week when finally, Izuku addresses it. Excuse me, Mirio-san. I know you're there. A pause. When nothing, or rather no one responds, Izuku thinks that perhaps he was wrong the entire time. Maybe he made up Mirio wanting to spend time with him because he has no one else. Stupid. Why would anyone want to hang out with you? You're just an orphan boy who won't show your quirk. Izuku banishes those thoughts as soon as those come. Once he sees Mirio pop out from the ground in his birthday suit, sheepish. Oh, hey, Midoriya-san. Sorry I took so long. One of the reasons I didn't want to pop out of the ground, you know. Chuckling, Mirio asks if Midoriya happens to have any spare pants, which since he skipped P.E. he did. They're a little tight, but they'll have to do, Mirio says with a thumbs up at the younger boy. Mirio-san, why have you been following me for the past week? Izuku bluntly asks as they get to the halfway mark to the orphanage. He thinks it's only because Mirio feels bad for him, but a smaller, more hopeful part of him says he's wrong. Stop being so negative for once, Izuku. Not all people are like Kakin, his mind tells him. Mirio stops where he is and looks at Izuku, frowning for a moment. He looks like he can't decide whether he wants to tell the truth or not until he finally opens his mouth and reveals the reason why he's been following him the entire time. When I saw that Bakugo kid beating you up, I knew I had to step in because that's what a hero would do. And seeing all those people just pass you by really angered me. Pausing, Mirio looks to Izuku, frowning. But then after you left, I followed, because I wanted to speak to you more about what you said. I was curious about you. Mirio finishes, looking a little embarrassed at being noisy, but also not since he helped the smaller boy out. Thinking back, Izuku tries to recall what all he said. Then it hits him. Oh, that? Yeah, no one believes me, but I have a quirk. It's really cool too. Izuku's eyes shine as he starts to talk about. The other boy seeing how excited he is to describe it. It's a mixture of my dad and my mom's, fire and telekinesis. So I'll definitely be a cool pro hero like All Might. He finishes, fist in the air. Whoa, a dual quirk sounds strong, Midoriya-san. What's it called? Mirio says with stars in his eyes at the younger kid. And why does no one else know about this? Mirio asks, already excited about finding out more this boy's quirk. Well, it's pyrokinesis, I can control and create fire. And I can't use it since I don't have a hero's license. It's illegal to use your quirk in public without 1 inch, Izuku states without a care. Mirio looks at the small child in front of him in awe. The quirk he told him about is powerful, but he'll need to train it to be able to control it. From what he's heard, the boy has no friends because they don't know about this. Which brings Mirio to his offer. That's it, Izuku Midoriya. I can already see that you have an amazing quirk. However, unless you train it, you won't be able to get into you today alongside me. So we need to work out and train our quirks to the max to do that. Wait, how'd you know I wanted to go to you? Izuku says, surprised he knew. Giving off another smile, Mirio replies, you said you wanted to be like All Might, as do I, and All Might's an alumni of UA. I just put 2 and 2 together, Mirio says, laughing. Okay, but I can't train my quirk, Izuku tries to protest. In public, my friend, but in the confines of a secret place, which I already know a place, we can do all the destruction and testing of just how powerful you and I really are, and we'll buff you and me up in the meantime. How about it? Ooh, buddies. Mirio says, putting his hand out. The minute Izuku hears Mirio call him a friend, tears are threatening to come out of his eyes. For the briefest moments, Izuku cherishes those words because he hasn't heard anyone call him that in years. Tears finally fall when Mirio declares them buddies. It's then Izuku decides that for Mirio he'll bend the rules if it'll mean train together. So they can get into together. Yeah, sniff buddies, Izuku says. Yeah, power. Mirio yells, the first of many powers. Power, Izuku murmurs. Unsure of where the phrase came from, Izuku decides he doesn't care and instead decides to roll with it, following Mirio's example with a just as loud power, beginning 2 friends' journey to UA. Izuku. Yeah, Mirio? You know I have my entrance exam next year, right? Mirio says, looking to the younger boy lying next to him on the sandy beach covered in junk. While Izuku looks confused at the question, he knows exactly what Mirio is talking about. It's only what they've been working towards the past 4 years for. Well, Izuku still has a few more years until he can apply, but that doesn't mean he can't still help his hero while also preparing himself to meet him there. Yeah, it's why we've been training, Izuku answers, wondering as to why Mirio is bringing this up. This isn't the first time he's brought up UA or the entrance exam since we started training. But usually he doesn't sound so serious about it, Izuku thinks. Ha, of course it is. I was the one who recommended it. Mirio says, playfully punching the younger one's shoulder, causing a flinch. But what I'm trying to say is if I want to get in, I'm gonna need to train harder than ever. Mirio says, fist clenched, a determined look in his eye. My quirk is still very dangerous, and even after all these years I have a lot to learn about permeation. Mirio looks back to when he and Izuku had just started training. Although he already had a good handle on his quirk, there were times when it would randomly activate, and he would fall into the ground while walking, or occasionally while at school his clothes would fall off because he would become intangible. Now I can control my quirk after training with Izuku so much, but it's still not good enough. I still have slip-ups at school and home, Mirio thinks. Even if we have trained relentlessly these past few years, I'm still not where I want to be. I may be able to control it, but I'm still not at my best. He's confused at first because he thought that's what they were doing this entire time, when they were together on the beach, getting up at god-awful hours, jogging, sparring, all to prepare the 2 of them for UA. But now as he listens to his speech, he thinks he might be wrong. Maybe now's the time where he leaves him like everyone else. He's gonna tell him he needs to train alone now. Maybe Izuku's been more of a hindrance than a help. He continues to think of negative things until he notices Mirio's worried face. Izuku, did you hear anything I said? The cartoon-faced boy asks. Mirio hasn't seen Izuku this worried since that day he first confronted him. Embarrassed of his reaction, Izuku answers honestly with a no. Oh, that's okay. I said that since I'll need to be focused more, I decided our current training routine isn't going to cut it, so I created us a new one, Mirio says happily as he magically pulls a thick pile of paper from his backpack. Now I know this may be daunting at first, but if we want to get in and be the best heroes ever, then we need to stick to it. How we're, right? Power, Izuku says blindly, not really registering what's coming out of his mouth at the moment. He can barely make out what Mirio's saying, only managing to hear the important parts of his speech, such as the need to focus more, there's a new routine involved, and us, there's still an us, Izuku notes. Turns out he was wrong about Mirio wanting to ditch him. His mind was just being a dick again. Izuku wants to cry, like really wants to cry, now that he knows he's not getting abandoned again. In the end, he decides against it since this is a happy moment. He figures from how thick that packet Mirio is holding he'll be getting more training workouts piled onto him, which will probably end up with him more tired than he already is, but he'll make do if it means he can spend more time with his best friend. Why what's the workout? Izuku manages to finally get out, somehow managing to hold in his tears. Something that surprises even Mirio, who has taken to carrying handkerchiefs on him, so he's prepared for Izuku's waterworks. I'm glad you asked. With my Mirio and Midoriya road to you, a workout routine will be fine-tuned to take on anything, Mirio says in his best hero voice and power pose, also taking note of his buddy's tears. Honestly, he's pretty sure he could create a lake with those tear ducts. Although their current workout routine was working out just fine, Mirio just wanted to create something special for the two since he knows he probably won't be around much when he starts UA. Call him cocky, but with all the training he and Izuku have done, he's confident he'll get in. He just wants to show Izuku how serious he is about the two of them getting into their dream school together, even if Izuku does have a few years to wait. When he looks back to Izuku, he sees him teary-eyed, smiling. You created this workout plan? Just for us? Izuku says, trying to hide the crack in his voice, while also looking at the exercise plan. Flipping through, he sees how much effort was put into it, pointing at himself, then back to Mirio to verify the older boy meant the routine was for him. Of course, Knucklehead, hence the title on the cover, Mirio and Midoriya Road to UA. Laughing, the boy continues. Did you think I wouldn't do everything I could to ensure my little brother got into you, with me? Mirio says nonchalantly, ruffling his hair. When he turns his back to stretch, intentionally or not, Izuku finally lets his tears fall, fist clenching his chest. No one's considered him family in a long time, at least not since his mom died. Everyone in the orphanage either ignores him because he's quirkless, or won't believe him when he says he has one. He keeps trying to tell them he technically can't show them for legal reasons, which he stated multiple times, but they couldn't care less. Meanwhile, at school, he's bullied for the same thing, with Bakugo leading the cavalry. Izuku was really surprised when Mirio stayed around helping him with his quirk and hanging out with him whenever he was alone. But since he and Mirio made a promise to become the best pro heroes ever, he guesses he shouldn't be. After all, heroes always keep their promises, and they were UA buddies after all. This may seem like just an exercise plan to Mirio, but it's much more to Izuku. When Mirio turns around, he sees Izuku is still distracted by the homemade workout and smiles. Izuku, we're UA buddies. Don't think I have forgotten. When Izuku finally meets his eyes, both unknowingly share a similar thought. That's why I must work hard to not let you down. 10 months before the entrance exam. Now, just because I'm going to you, Dada. Aren't you being a little cocky? No. Now let me finish. Mirio tuts before chopping Izuku on the head. As I was saying, just because I'm going to you, it doesn't mean you can get away with kicking back and roasting marshmallows. Got it? Mirio says, trying to glare at the younger boy, but with his face failing. Oh, come on, it was one time and you enjoyed those s'mores just as much as I did, Izuku says, going in for a punch to the stomach, before remembering what Mirio's quirk is and going right through the boy, falling on his face. Semantics, Izubro. What you need to know is how to convert our workouts so your Izuku knows what he's going to say and prepares himself. Power never gets stagnate. Mirio yells, momentarily finishing off in a normal tone. Your quirk is still developing, so you need to constantly train to keep up with it, Mirio nonchalantly says, ignoring the green-haired boy who just went through his body, already getting color-coded pages out. Flashing his signature smile at Izuku, who has yet to get off the ground, he starts to explain the logistics of the newly revised Mirio and Midoriya Road to you, the Max Power workout plan. After dusting himself off, Izuku tries to discreetly wipe his eyes because his best friend for the past almost 5 years is going to their dream school. Izuku knows Mirio still has the entrance exam to take, but he has no doubts that he'll get in. What kind of friend would I be if believe in him? All our hard work is paying off, Izuku thinks. But of course, he knew that meant Mirio's real training had just begun. Somewhere in the back of his mind, though, he thinks that this means the end of their journey together. Instead, Mirio is going to deem him not strong enough to keep up, and he would no longer be able to train alongside Mirio since they would be on different levels. Hell, they already are. In that moment, Izuku promises himself that while Mirio is away at school, that no matter what, he'll get stronger, so he can stand by his side as an equal. I still have a few years till I can meet up with Mirio at UA, Izuku thinks while watching Mirio happily speak. And while I'm nowhere near where he is in terms of power, looking up he sees a smiling Mirio holding his hand out to pick up Izuku from the spot he's sitting at, where he fell, but again semantics. I'll still work my hardest to catch up to you. Big bro, just watch. Izuku smiles as he and his best friend begin their walk to Mirio's home for dinner before he heads back to the orphanage. A tradition that has gone on since they first met. Present. Wow. You're really strong. You just went vroom straight through that robot like it was nothing. A bluinette speaks quickly to Mirio. After it went up in flames and you went to another one and another one. It was amazing. How'd you get so strong? You must have had a lot of help from trainers. Did you go to the gym a lot? Did you do workout videos? The name's Nijire Hato, but you can call me Nijire. In case you were wondering, by the way, the shorter girl says with sparkles in her eyes. How that is even possible, Mirio thinks. Walking alongside our male protagonist is a hyperactive female who he happened to save during the entrance exam. Once the test ended, however, he noticed her following him and start to ask non-stop questions, reminding him of a certain green-haired buddy and his curious nature. Of course, he took to her in an instant. My name's Mirio Togata, and you can call me Mirio. And no, I only trained with one person, but he helped me a lot to get where I am today. Pausing to wink and give a thumbs up. We did, however, have one workout regimen that we stuck to, and it was helped me get so much power. Posing with an arm out for a moment. What was it, Mirio? A shy voice asks from behind Nijire. Despite already being good friends since grade school, he still hides behind the bubbly girl speaking. I remember when we were in school, you would leave right after saying you were going to train, and left it at that. Smiling at one of his oldest friends, Tamaki Amajiki, Mirio remembers him as the boy he bumped into. Yet the other started apologizing profusely. He couldn't help but befriend him to try and bring him out of his shell. He can't help but think that's why he might have taken in our other male protagonist of this story, but shrugs it off. To answer your question, Tamaki, it was called the Mirio and Midoriya Road to You, Max Power Workout. Giving a thumbs up for dramatic effect, Mirio continues, fine-tuned to prepare only the strongest for their journey to you, Mirio says, smiling. Tapping her chin, Nijire thinks over Mirio's words, finally speaking up. If it was fine-tuned for only the strongest, why does it have yours and whoever Midoriya is names on it? Jumping up, accidentally activating her quirk, Nijire starts to ask more questions. What's so great about the workout regimen? Is it only for the strongest? Has anyone else tried it out? Can I try it out? Is Midoriya as strong as you? Is he your brother? Where is this Midoriya? Noticing her red face, Tamaki taps the blue-haired girl's back, signaling her to take a break from asking so many questions. Getting the hint, Nijire smiles apologetically to the blonde boy she's just befriended while waiting for his answers. Keeping up with the blue-haired girl seemed to be impossible for others, as he noticed while waiting for the entrance exam. But for a seasoned warrior like Mirio who has dealt with Izuku's mumbling, he's able to answer all her questions happily, ticking each one off his finger as he does. While also thanking his friend for the temporary reprieve of questions, Mirio can't help but think how much she reminds him of Izuku. I'm gonna keep her, Mirio proclaims to himself. Well, first off, Midoriya is my best friend / lil bro, and while he is strong, he's yet to beat me in a spar, pausing mid-step to turn around and face Nijire. Which brings me to your question about why it has our names on it. Blushing, Mirio rubs his head. We've been training together for years and made a promise when we were younger that we would get into you together, now smiling at the memory. So the name just suits our goal. Not to mention how strong it's made us, Mirio says, flexing. Oh, yeah. Can't deny that. You demolished those robots like they were plush toys. No doubt you got top scores on the entrance exam, Nijire answers, starting to ramble while mimicking karate chops. Yes, your workout regimen with Midoriya shows. Tamaki whispers. How is he doing? He's doing pretty good. As you know, Tamaki, Izubro may still be in middle school, but he's a shoe-in for U.A when he applies for the hero course. Mirio says, proudly pounding a fist to the chest. Oh, can we meet him? Do you have a picture? He sounds adorable. Is he actually your brother? You called him your best friend first? Which one is it? Nijire asks until she finally needs to take a breath. Well, actually, I've already met him, Tamaki says, raising his hand for some reason. Noticing this, he lowers it, slightly embarrassed but taking note that neither laughed at the motion. Pausing to look at the shorter girl, Mirio laughs a hearty laugh, realizing what he called Izuku. He can't believe he let the nickname slip so easily, but then again, Izuku really is just like a brother to him, and Tamaki already knows about his close bond with Izuku, seeing as on a few occasions he's joined them on their cheat days. If anything, they've spent so much time with one another they might as well be. Smiling, Mirio decides to show her his favorite picture of them dressed as the Mario brothers from last Halloween, with him as Mario and Izuku as Luigi. Rightly so. Nijire can't help but coo at the two boys in the picture cosplaying as iconic video game brothers, the adorableness being too much for her. They may not be related, but I can already tell he cares a lot. For the younger boy, oh my gosh, this picture is just too cute. I wonder if I could get a copy? Taking a break from her inner battle, Nijire notices something in the background of the picture. Who's that in the background with their head down, looking away from the camera, as though they don't want to be there? Nijire says, pointing at a dark figure in a purple outfit. Looking at the photo closer, Mirio's eyes bulge because he can't believe he almost forgot about the third person they invited out that day. Oh, that's Tamaki, he was Waluigi. A great fit for us, right? Izuku chose the outfits. Mirio says, smiling at their coordinated costumes. You're just saying that because you got to be Mario and say, it's me, a Mirio, Tamaki says, looking away. As semantics. Mirio says, not denying Tamaki's statement, but also not agreeing, mainly for show. As the newly formed trio continue to walk out of the school grounds and exchange contact information, Mirio promises to introduce them to Izuku, officially, the next time they meet up. Well, I guess I just have to introduce Nijire since Izuku's already met Tamaki a few times, but still having a group hang out would be nice, Mirio thinks. Knowing that despite how much Izuku likes his company, having others to talk to would do him good. He may not say it, but he knows Izuku still gets bullied, and now that he's going to U.A, he won't be around to ward off the bullies as much as he wants to, especially that damn Bakugo kid. I know he says he doesn't need anyone else, but Nijire's personality would help him come out of his shell, and Tamaki, well, he and Tamaki have always been able to bond based off their mutual shyness around other people, Mirio thinks, laughing aloud to the comparisons he made. UA hasn't even started, and he's making more friends for him and Izuku. Present. We did it, Izuku. I think you mean you did it, a broccoli-haired boy says. I still have 2 more years till I meet you there, remember, Mirio, Izuku smiles. Semantics, Izuku. The older boy, now revealed as Mirio laughs, ruffling his hair. Me making it into you, means we are one step closer to you making it into you. How does that even make sense? Izuku says, trying to make sense of his logic. Shaking his head, he ruffles the younger boy's hair to explain to him his words. Easy. If our training was enough to get me in, then it'll be enough to get you in. Especially if you're still following our road to you. A plan, grinning with his signature thumbs up. Izuku stayed silent after that because he honestly couldn't see the flaw in that logic. Smiling, Izuku nods his head, silently promising to Mirio that no matter what he'll get in now. Looking to the younger boy next to him, Mirio can't help but think about all the times they had together. He knows his friend still has a hard time while he's at school, especially since people still believe he's quirkless, but thankfully his Izubro has grown tougher skin because of their time together. He can see it in the way he stands taller and hardly stutters anymore. His best friend has gotten stronger. You know, it feels like yesterday that we were lighting trash on fire and flashing the public. Izuku Mirio says happily as he stares at the now cleared-up beach. He and Izuku spent the last year cleaning while preparing him for the entrance exams. It was just yesterday, Mirio. Remember, I lit trash on fire to see if you could phase through it, causing you to flash that old couple by accident, because as it turns out you cannot, Izuku says, incredulous at the fact the older boy forgot. He must have forgotten over the excitement at getting into Yui. Shaking his head, Izuku decides to let it slide this time, already knowing there will be plenty more accidents he will have to let pass. Especially now with Nijire in their friend group, geez, and I thought Mirio was hyper. Scratching the back of his head, Mirio blushes, belting out a loud laugh. Oh yeah, it was, wasn't it? Well, either way, we've come a long way from where we used to be with our quirks, right? Posing with his arm out, he looks to Izuku. Before, the most you could do was light a flame on your finger, and now you can lift trucks with them. Mirio excitedly yells, and now I can better handle phasing through objects while doing a combo attack, he says while mimicking a karate chop. Come on, Izuku. Don't tell me you're not as pumped as me at our progress, the younger boy's best friend yells. Crossing his arms, Izuku looks to Mirio smiling because of course he's impressed. He never thought he would reach this level of power at his age, and he has him to thank for it. I was just a random, quirkless orphan that nobody cared about, but you changed that, Mirio, Izuku thinks happily. What are you guys looking so gloomy about? Were you guys having a serious talk? OH, Tamaki, I told you we should have stayed back at the cafe, Nijire says as she spins down onto the sandy beach. Behind her, following slowly with a gloomy face, is Mirio's second closest friend, as well as Midoriya's, who seems to be shaking his face at the oblivious girl. Nijire, as I seem to recall, I was the one who told you to stay back, but you said that MMPRH. Covering his mouth, Nijire hops in front of the gloomy teen, laughing, tossing out denial after denial of his accusation towards her. Tamaki is such a funny guy, but also a liar, don't you agree, Midoriya? Looking to the younger boy, Izuku agrees, laughing at their friend's behavior. Don't worry, Nijire, waving the interruption off. Midoriya and I were just talking about how he's a shoo-in for you since I got accepted, Mirio says, smiling. Nodding her head quickly, Nijire floats over to the fluffy-haired boy and begins squeezing his arms. Yeah. Don't worry, Izuku. You're a little beefcake, there's no way you won't pass the exam when it's your turn for the entrance exam, Nijire says, unknowingly causing Midoriya to begin stuttering and turn red-faced from being called a beefcake from such a pretty girl. I wouldn't call myself a beefcake. You're right, Izubro. You're more like a cinnamon roll but like super buff, Mirio chimes in, getting nods from the two older students, walking up to him and squeezing his cheeks. Jumping up and down, Nijire smiles wider, spinning in agreement. Yeah, that's exactly Midoriya. We can say it's because he's sweet, cute, and he has fluffy hair. That does sound like Midoriya, Tamaki whispers from his spot on the side. Tears of frustration as well as embarrassment run down Izuku's face as the three older teens discuss his similarities to a pastry. How did I get stuck with you three as friends, he cries. It only worsens when a cute girl with strawberry blonde hair and a side ponytail walks by, holding back laughter at seeing Izuku's cheeks being pulled and hair being played with as they say how much they'll miss their cinnamon roll while they're at UA. Wait, you guys, stop it. Look, that girl, she's watching and laughing. Don't embarrass me, Izuku yells, trying but failing to seem cool in front of the cute girl, who finally lets her laughter out as she passes by. What's this? A girl has caught our little Izuku's eye? Nijire says, dramatically cupping both eyes and searching around for the culprit. Over yonder, the pretty girl with the side ponytail, Mirio yells before disappearing in front of the trio and reappearing in front of the girl who was walking by and watching Izuku and the others. Hi there. We couldn't help but notice that you were checking out my little brother Izuku, Mirio says, bluntly scaring the girl. Kaya, the unknown girl screams, hopping back, clutching her chest. Realizing his mistake, he chuckles and says, Oh, my bad. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Mirio Togata, and the green-haired freckled cinnamon roll you were checking out is Izuku Midoriya. I wasn't checking him out. You and your friends were just being funny making a scene. She pouts, then realizing her mistake says, and I'm Kendo Itsuka. Gendu. Nice to meet you, Nijire says, floating down from her spot in the air, holding a struggling Izuku in her arms. This is Izuku. He noticed you checking him out and thinks you're pretty, the first-year student says. Huffing, the girl says, I wasn't checking him out. You guys were just acting funny. Meanwhile, Izuku looks to his friends, then to the girl and shrieks, yelling denials. I never said that. Why are you lying, Nijire? Then looking to Kendo, he goes, not that I don't think you're cute, because you are. It's just I never said that. Nijire was just making assumptions. Correct assumptions, she butts in. Yes, but still. Blushing, Izuku realizes the other girl still hasn't said anything. So when he finally looks her way, he sees that she's covering her mouth to hold back her laughter. Your friends are right. You are adorable, she says. And single, Tamaki whispers, shocking Mirio and Nijire for being so bold. Thankfully to Izuku though, Kendo did not hear the older boy. A few minutes later, while the five converse, Kendo hears her name being called to go home. Smiling sadly, the girl looks to the weirdo group of friends and bids them goodbye, unsure of when she'll see them again. I'm sorry, but I have to go. But it was nice to meet you, 4-inch, she yells, running away. After they no longer see her is when it dawns on Izuku, he didn't grab her number, bumming him out. Ah, sorry, Izuku. Better luck next time, Nijire says, petting the younger boy's head. Although he knows she's just using this as an excuse to run her hands through his hair. I wonder how she'd react if I cut my hair. Don't even think about cutting your hair, Izuku. Got it? Nijire says with a sharp glint in her eye. Nodding his head, still with her hand in it, he sighs, relenting to his faith. I mean, it's not like I don't enjoy it. He thinks, hiding a smile when she scratches his scalp as they walk him back to the orphanage. As they continue to walk him to the orphanage, all three teens apologize to him for not being better wingmen but promise to be better help with the next girl. Don't worry, Izuku, next time we'll get the girl's number before her name, Mirio yells. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Write that down, Tamaki, Nijire says, looking to the silent boy who was already writing down the tip. Got it, he says to the others. Guys, I don't think that will. Sighing because he doubts they'll listen, Izuku nods and thanks them for the tips, secretly loving the fact he has these guys as his wingmen, even if they are horrible at it. So, when do you think you can visit me again? I know you have school starting up and it'll be busy since it's your first year, Izuku asks, hoping the answer will be soon. Tapping his chin, Mirio thinks of the schedule they received. He doesn't want to admit it, but their first year is extremely busy, but Izuku is his best friend. So he'll do his best to make time. Not to worry, Izuku. As soon as Nijire, Tamaki, and I have settled into classes, we'll come visit you and tell you about everything we've done, Mirio says with his megawatt smile. A burning sensation erupts in Izuku's chest because he knows Mirio means it when he makes his promise. So nodding his head, he smiles back, accepting his words. As he goes to enter the orphanage, he hears three voices yell out, Power! And as he turns around, he sees Mirio doing his signature pose with Nijire and Tamaki doing the same. Walking out, Izuku grins and mimics his best friend yelling, Power! At him, knowing that even though Mirio may be busy training to be a hero, he'll still make time for him. It had been 4 months since he had seen Mirio, Nijire, and Tamaki. But as much as he missed them, he knew they were busy in school with their hero studies, so he couldn't really hold a grudge about it. In fact, he was happy for them. From what Mirio had been telling him through their texts, they had recently gotten their hero suits, and with the fabric used, he was no longer flashing people during combat practice. The same couldn't be said about his other classes, though. Izuku begged for a picture of the three in their suits, which Mirio refused to show, saying he wanted to be there to see his reaction when he saw what they looked like in them. after which Midoriya stopped asking. However, that isn't to say Izuku had such an easy time with Mirio and the others gone. As soon as Bakugo and his lackeys found out they were busy with U.A and Izuku was back to be a loner, their bullying ventured back outside of school since the older teens weren't there to protect Izuku, despite Izuku's pleas that he could handle them. Oi, Deku, where's your guard dogs? Finally see how useless you were and decided that you weren't worth the trouble, Bakugo shouted with an evil grin, his lackeys behind him laughing at their leader's joke. Frowning at his former friend's behavior, Midoriya glares before answering, not at all afraid of the explosion user like he used to be. No, Bakugo, they're going to U.A to become awesome heroes. They're just busy right now so they can't visit me, Izuku says smugly to his bullies. Veins pop on his forehead at hearing the insult the quirkless boy calls him. What did you just call me? Smirking, Midoriya looks Bakugo in the eyes and slowly says, Bakugo, eyes widening at the sight of an explosive fist coming near his face so fast that he's not sure even he can dodge it in time. When the lackeys behind Bakugo see the sheer size of it nearing Deku, even they are surprised at the intensity of it. Never call me that again, dickhead, or I'll kill. Dude, I think you went a bit overboard on the dork, the winged lackey says, looking around for any witnesses in courtyard they were at, the other lackey nodding his head, sweating profusely. Shut up. I'll tell you when I go overboard, Bakugo says, slightly panicking. No, I think the chubby boy and the weird-looking boy are right. You went a bit overboard on my little cinnamon roll, a sickly sweet voice says above the smoke that was still disappearing. Gulping, Bakugo freezes up, deciding that he had officially fucked up when he recognizes that voice as the slightly airhead girl who hung around Izuku, who was willing to beat up anyone who messed with the nerd. Looking around, he couldn't find where the voice was until he and the other two boys slowly titled their head up to see the girl had Izuku cradled in her arms, with the boy pouting. Why are you pouting, you fucking nerd? A hot girl is holding you in her arms, be grateful, Bakugo thought before going back to panicking at the sight of the girl. Smiling, Nijire slowly descends down in front of the boys, letting Izuku jump down beside her, who was still pouting. Oh, come now, Izubro. You know you liked being in Nijire's arms cuddled up like that, Mirio said, popping up from the ground naked, before Tamaki walked up with pants for the boy. Oh, thank you, Tamaki, Mirio said, laughing. I do not, Izuku said with a red face, trying to deny it, but the others being able to tell otherwise. Ah, really, Izuku? So you don't like when I hug you like this either, Nijire says before jumping on the boy's back and wrapping her arms around him like a koala, making him blush even more than he already was, and the other two laugh, while the three bullies stood frozen, scared to make a move in front of Deku's bodyguards. Come on, guys, you're embarrassing me in front of my bullies, Izuku said, trying but failing to get Nijire off. She's gotten way stronger since I've last seen her. Sighing, Izuku accepted his fate and let the girl adjust herself on his back so she could carry him. Realizing the bullies were still there, the three turned their focus to Bakugo and the others with a darkened aura. Ah, thank you for reminding us, Izubro. We almost forgot with how you were flirting with Nijire, Mirio joked. Freezing, Izuku turns to Mirio, betrayed and confused because he doesn't know when he was even doing that. Uchiai was never shoulders slumping. Izuku looks back to his frightened tormentors, who were now red with jealousy at the boy, who had a hot girl on his back staring at them with killing intent. Now I thought we told you to leave our Izuku alone, Bakugo, Mirio says, arms crossed over his buff chest, slightly scaring Bakugo and the others. No teen should be that buff, they screamed internally. Yeah, our cinnamon roll beefcake has done nothing to you. So why do you keep tormenting him about being an orphan? That's not very nice or heroic, you know. We could tell a hero at U.A, and since they don't tolerate bullying, you'll have a harder time of ever getting in there, Nijire threatened. Blood drains from Bakugo face, his chances of U.A possibly being gone just like that. He almost threw up at the thought. Looking to the nerd, who was standing there expressionless, only scared him more. This entire time he was bullying him, he had a trump card. The damn nerd, he probably was letting me do this so he could blackmail me. He wanted to ruin my chances of getting into UA. When he looked back at them, He saw they were still staring at him with a threatening aura waiting for him to answer. TSK. The damn nerd acts all high and mighty while being quirkless. He can't be a hero like that, so I'm teaching him his place. How many times does Izuku have to tell you? He's not quirkless, Nijire says angry, getting confused looks from the three younger boys. That also doesn't explain why you bring up his orphan status, as well as explain the reason for making fun of the fact his mother died, no less. Tamaki whispers to Bakugo, who is now having trouble speaking. As soon as Bakugo hears Nijire bring up him making fun of Deku for being an orphan, he knew he was screwed. Bakugo's best chance of getting out of answering that was to counter it by answering why he makes fun of his dream of being a hero while quirkless. The nerd may say he's not, but he's yet to see him use any power. When he finishes his explanation to the airhead, he realizes any chance of leaving was thrown out the window when the emo dude asked him the question again. I don't know. Okay. I was pissed that somehow, despite being a stupid orphan, despite his mom being dead and him being quirkless, he still wanted to be a hero. His stupid optimistic attitude was always getting on my Nowak. Bakugo was stopped mid-rant by a fist in his face. The two lackeys were too shocked to go and help their leader. Bakugo was still reeling from finding out he could have his dream of going to Udata taken away. But what shocked him most was the punched in the face by the quiet one of Deku's group. Taunting someone with their mother's death, because you're jealous, is not heroic at all, Tamaki said, before reverting to his shy self. And for the last time, Izuku is not quirkless. He just doesn't like breaking the law. Mirio butts in. Izuku could honestly say that out of the four of their group to ever punch Bakugo for what was said, he never would have thought it would be Tamaki to do it. Sure, Tamaki was the one to ask why Bakugo felt the need to constantly bully Izuku and use his mother's death as ammo, but to be the one to punch the blonde, well, Izuku would have guessed Mirio or Nijire before Tamaki. Wow, Tamaki. I would have never guessed you had it in you, Nijire says, staring at the quiet boy currently standing in a corner after punching the younger bully. Bravo, Tamaki. What a punch. Our sparring sessions are really paying off. Wouldn't you say, Izu-bro? Mirio shouts, watching the bullies run off, one of them holding a bloody nose. Yeah, Tamaki, you put a lot of power in that punch, Izuku says, chuckling. The other three go silent. Then suddenly Mirio bursts out laughing, throwing an arm around Izuku, watching out for Nijire, who was still holding on to Izuku. We sure did miss you, Izuku, Mirio says, leading the boy away to his house. We're sorry we haven't visited you. School has been so busy, but now we're on break for a whole week, Nijire says, hugging Izuku tighter. We plan to make it up to you, Tamaki says from the side. Thank you, guys, but I know how tough Udate is, so no need to apologize, Izuku says with a teary smile. Nonsense, Izuku, we are your friends. Nay, family, therefore it is our duty to always make time for you. This week is solely devoted to you, Mirio says with a fist in the air, Nijire and Tamaki following closely. Thanks, guys, Izuku says, unable to hold back, putting his fist in the air. But first we have to show you our costumes, Mirio says, pulling a picture out of the three in their suits. Nijire pulling her phone out to capture Izuku's starry eyes at seeing the awesome outfits they have. Oh man, look at Nijire's, you look amazing in it. I bet it supports your wave motion quirk with those gauntlet. And Tamaki's cloak looks so cool and mysterious. Whoa, Mirio, yours is so cool. But what's the number on it for? Laughing at the younger boy's expression, the older three smile and begin to explain. Well, I put 1 million because that's how many people I want to save. It also corresponds with my hero name, Lemillion, Mirio shouts, doing his power pose, enjoying Izuku's huge smile at him. I kept mine simple, smiling. Nijire reveals her name. My hero alias is Nijire-chan. I like it, so cool. Izuku says to his best friends. What about you, Tamaki? What is your hero alias? Scratching his head, he looks away before whispering, my name is Sun Eater. So cool. You guys have such awesome names. I can't wait till I have to choose mine. Oh man, what should my costume look like? Izuku asks, panicking, causing the others to laugh. Izu-bro, don't worry, you still have time till you need to make yours. But if you want, we can help you, Mirio says, gesturing to the three of them. Looking to the older teens, Izuku gets a glossy look in his eye. Really, you will? Oh man, I'm gonna have the coolest costume ever. Guys, I'm not so sure about this, Izuku says nervously. What? How can you say that, my little Izuku? Nijire says dramatically. We worked so hard on this. Nodding his head, Mirio crosses his arms in disappointment. It's true, Izubro, we spent 2 days on this costume. And this is the thanks we get. For shame, Tamaki whispers. Looking to the three, Izuku waves his hands in apology. No, guys, the costume is great. It's just I think a tight baby blue one piece with a red cape and purple mask looks a little weird for someone like me. Don't you think? Izuku mumbles. What's so weird about that? Nijire asks, nodding appreciatively at their masterpiece. Yeah, I for one think it fits you perfectly, Mirio says. Agreed, especially the mask, Tamaki says. Izuku looks at his best friends for a moment, unsure whether they're serious or not, and when they look back at him with smiles that indicate that yes, they are indeed serious about this design, he realizes that he has been a bit over his head accepting their help. Well, if you don't like this look, for reasons unknown, Nijire whispers. Then what are you looking for? Mirio inquires. How about this? Izuku says, beginning to draw a green and black jumpsuit with a red cape, with the word power embroidered on the chest. As the Nijire and Tamaki continue to look at his drawing, smiling at the wording he put on his chest and design being exactly something Izuku would wear, Mirio looks back to his best friend, tears in his eyes. It's perfect, Izubro. Mirio, Nijire, and Tamaki were relaxing in class, waiting for their homeroom teacher Aizawa-sensei to come in. While they waited, they began to discuss their favorite subject, or rather favorite person, Izuku Midoriya. Hey. Do you think we can see Izuku after class? We haven't seen him in a few weeks. I think he'd enjoy knowing about what's coming up. Nijire tried whispering. Tapping his chin, Mirio nodded sage-like in agreement to the hyper girl. Indeed, Nijire, I think our little Izuku would thoroughly enjoy it, but what he would enjoy even more is coming to it. He finishes. But how are we going to do that? Tamaki mutters. Simple, we just... Leaning in to speak, the other two begin to smile ear to ear as they hear Mirio's brilliant plan on how to bring Izuku to UA. A few minutes later, when they are done conversing, their sensei finally walks in, addressing the class, or what's left of them, the rest being expelled for having no potential, and tells them of the upcoming event they need to train for. Okay class, you've all been doing well academically, but if you want to prove to the pros you have what it takes to be a real hero, then you need to prepare yourself for the sports festival that's coming up, as most of you had already predicted, a tired voice said. The three friends sitting in the back fail to contain their glee at the upcoming event, where they will have to put their all in if they want to show themselves off. That's all for now. Head over to Gym Gamma for combat practice with Cementos. Actually, sensei, we had a question? Nijire said as she, Mirio, and Tamaki waited for everyone to walk out, leaving only the three students alone with their sensei, who looked ready for a nap. Well, talkative child, what is it? Aizawa asked. Well, sensei, we have a friend, nay more like a little brother, who is a big fan of the sports festival, and we were hoping we could score him a ticket so he could watch us compete, Mirio asked. Aizawa looked at his three top students, wondering if they were being serious or just messing with him. When he saw their hopefully faces falter for a moment, he realized that, no, they were not joking. They wanted a free ticket to the sports festival. Look, you three, I can't just give tickets out for free for every student. If we did, then we'd never make any money for the school. I'm sorry, but no, Aizawa said. But Sir, Mirio tried protesting, only to get a glare, immediately shutting him up. I said no. Not get to Gym Gamma before I give you detention. Yes, sensei, the three replied downtrodden. As Aizawa saw his three top students walk away, he felt a sharp pain in his chest. When told by Recovery Girl nothing was wrong with him, he realized that he was feeling guilt for turning down the three kids' requests. For fuck's sake. The next day, Aizawa called in the three students and had them explain just why this child couldn't get his own ticket or at least watch it on TV. He kind of wished he hadn't asked when they explained his situation to him. Aizawa-sensei, we weren't lying when we said he was like a little brother to us. I've known Izuku since he was 8 and he's like family. He's had to live in an orphanage because his mother was killed in a villain attack, so he has no one. Aizawa flinched when he heard this. Kid had to have a rough childhood. But us, he finishes. What about his dad? You said the mom died, what of the dad? His dad gave him up, but Izuku never gave a reason why though, Mirio answers. Sighing, Aizawa rubs his forehead. These three had to have adopted the unluckiest kid in the world. Can I at least see a picture of the kid you want me to get a free ticket for? Aizawa asks, regretting his words when he sees the three teens' face light up and fight over what picture to show. Show this one. It brings out Izuku's eyes. Nijire says. No, this one when he's sparring with us. Mirio shouts. What about that one we did with last month for fun? Tamaki whispered, ceasing the arguing at once. You're a genius, Tamaki. That's the best photo we've ever taken. Even if it was against Izuku's will, Mirio shouts. Oh yeah, definitely one of our finer pictures, Nijire nods, not noticing their sensei's patience was getting thinner by the second. Nijire, if you would do the honors, Mirio says, watching the energetic girl present her phone to their sensei, who while usually was great at holding an expressionless face couldn't help but let his lips lift in a small smile at the three teens plus, who he assumes is Izuku dressed up as the wild pussycats. Introducing our best friend Izuku Midoriya, Nijire says dramatically. I'm guessing Midoriya is the one dressed as Ragdoll, Aizawa said, trying to hold his laughter in. Indeed, Aizawa-sensei. We figured since their hair color matched, she would be the best match for Izuku, Mirio said proudly. How did you determine the others? He couldn't help but ask. Easy, Mirio was Tiger since he is the tallest and buffest of us. Tamaki was Mandalay since they have a similar hairstyle, and I was Pixie Bob because of the color scheme, Nijire explained happily. Aizawa's lip twitched upward, thankfully able to hide it underneath his capture gear. You know what, give me a copy of this photo and I'll give the kid a seat with you guys in your class section, Aizawa said, hoping that would be enticing enough to give him a copy. Deal, the three shouts. Izuku's gonna be so happy, Nijire said, twirling around in the air. I can't wait to tell Izubro the great news when we see him today. Forget training, today's a cheat day, Mirio says before running off. Thank you, Sensei, this means a lot to us. Mirio especially. Tamaki says. Sighing, the homeroom teacher nods his head. Yeah, just don't mention it to anyone when they question what a random kid is doing in your booth K. And about that picture? Here you go, Tamaki says, already sending the picture to his teacher's phone, followed by a floating Nijire. In the teacher's lounge. Oh my god, these kids are too pure, midnight cooed. Has Mandalay and the others seen this yet? Present Mike asked, not even holding back his laughter. Oh yeah, they loved it, especially the Izuku kid. Ragdoll said he could pass off as her brother. He smirked. So, what did you do to get this from Mirio and the others? I'm pretty sure they didn't give it to you for nothing, Snipe said nonchalantly. Nothing big, just a spot for the kid in their booth at the sports festival, Aizawa says nonchalantly, causing the others to spit their drink. Seriously, and Nizu approved that? Cementos said skeptical. Smirking, the erasure hero shakes his head. Not at first, but then I showed the picture they gave, and he immediately changed his mind, saying how adorable those four were, and he could not let the kid watch and be there for them. Well, I'll be damned, they thought. At Dagoba. Izuku hadn't seen his friends in a few weeks, which was all right. Bakugo had backed off since they had warned him to stop bullying him, so aside from the glaring and calling him a quirkless deku, he was otherwise fine. Deciding to take a walk around the beach was his best form of therapy when he wanted to talk to someone but no one was around. I wish Nijire was here. She can usually fill up the silence with 1,000 questions I have no answer to. Izuku laughed. Then pausing in his steps, Izuku turns around when he hears stomps in the sand and yelling in the distance. Izuku! 3 voices yell. Looking for the culprits, Izuku's face breaks into smile, his wish coming true when he gets tackled by Nijire herself, then Tamaki and Mirio respectively. Izuku, we couldn't find you when we went to your school, or the orphanage, or your little part-time job at that restaurant. Nijire yells, sobbing. We got so worried, we almost called the police. Mirio adds. I stopped them and told them you might be at the beach, Tamaki's muffled voice says from Izuku's chest. You guys, Izuku laughs. I was just wandering around since it's my day off. Watching the glare from Mirio, he clarifies. From working out too. He placates, seeing the Tintin wannabe go back to smiling. Oh well, that's good. Oh, guess what? Nijire says. Izuku already knows not to play this game because otherwise he'll be here all night instead. He forfeits the game to Nijire and asks for the answer straight away. Yes. 124-0. Still the reigning champ Izuku, Nijire cheers before Mirio takes over and reveals why they were so excited. Izubro, it took some talking to and a little bribery, but guess what we got? What? We got you a ticket to the a sports festival that's happening in 3 weeks. And not only that, you get to be in our booth, he said. Izuku almost fainted when he heard his best friend's words. Going to the a sports festival, sitting in the same booth as them, it was too good to be true. There was no way they were telling the truth. Izuku, we're telling you the truth, Tamaki says, putting his hand on the younger boy's shoulder to stop his mumbling. Yeah, and Aizawa-sensei rarely lies. He expelled half our class for having no potential, just like he said he would, Mirio said, watching the shocked face appear on his little sidekick's face. So, you mean I'm going to the a festival? Wait, with what? You said you had to bribe the teacher. Well, not bribe per se, we just told him a little bit about you and gave him that photo we took last month, Nijire says innocently, not expecting the outburst she receives next, when Izuku pounces on her. You did what? He yells, making her fall back when she loses balance after he jumped on her spontaneously. That picture was for our eyes only, he cried. Oh, come on Izuku, that picture was one of a kind. Even the person who took the photo for us said so, Mirio says with mirth in his eyes at the 2 on the sand. Yeah, Izuku, you can't expect us not to show that cute picture of the 4 of us, Nijire joked, enjoying how red his face gets when he tries to get off, but failing as Nijire hugs him tighter. Yes, I can. The only reason I agreed to dress up as Ragdoll was because Mirio said he'd buy Katsudon if I did. That picture was against my will, Izuku yelled, still trying to get over what his friends did. Finally feeling she tortured him enough, Nijire let go of the younger boy, wiping the sand off their bodies. Don't worry Izuku, I doubt Aizawa-sensei even showed it to anyone. He probably just wanted it because his 3 favorite students were in the picture, Mirio brags, not realizing how very wrong he was. Really, you think so? Izuku asks. Of course I do. Now come on, we need your help to prepare ourselves for the a festival. Power, Mirio shouts. Power, Nijire shouts, doing her power pose. Power, Tamaki murmurs, doing a similar power pose. Power, Izuku shouts, stoked he gets to see you. Students fight against each other up close, already forgetting the possibility of the entire staff of you having seen him dressed up as a wild pussycat. What are the odds? Izuku thought, before running to catch up with the others for their impromptu jog. Wait a second, Mirio. You said today was AS/cheat day? Nijire says, pausing in her steps. Oh yeah, I did. Okay then, onwards to my house for Katsudon. Mirio yells, going back to his power pose. Onwards, Izuku yells. Onwards, Nijire and Tamaki yell, following the blonde and green duo currently racing each other to Mirio's house. Izuku counted the days until the a first-year sports festival. It was 2 weeks ago that Mirio and the others had revealed to him that he would be going, and watching it from the first year's booth, no less. Finally, after what seemed like months but really was only a few days, it was finally time. Today is the UA Sports Festival, and I get to watch Mirio, Nijire and Tamaki compete. Izuku grinned as he walked up to the stadium. I hope Mirio's ready for the festival. He's improving a lot, but without the use of his costume for the festival, he'll have to rely on his physical prowess to get by rather than his quirk, unless he doesn't mind flashing people. But then again, Izuku mumbled under his breath, beginning to zone out, causing him to bump into one of his favorite heroes, although he'd never admit that to Mirio or Nijire, lest he want them to have teasing material. Oh my god, you're 18 plus pro hero Midnight. This is so cool. Your quirk is fascinating. Rambling too fast for the older woman to understand. Oh, why thank you, not many appreciate my quirk like you do, she said, smiling deviously. Oh well, that's crazy. Izuku managed to get out after realizing Midnight was speaking back to him. So, tell me what you are doing here in the students section of the UA stadium? She asked. Oh, I was invited by my best friends and big bro to watch the festival. It took a few seconds, but after she scanned the boy's face, his unruly green hair and surprisingly buff body, she squealed in recognition. Oh my god, you're Ragdoll Jr. You're even more adorable up close. Oh, I could just eat you up, Midnight gushed as she hugged Midoriya close to her chest, suffocating the slightly smaller boy. Izuku. Izubru. Midoriya. Mustering all his strength, Izuku turned his head to see his 3 best friends running at him, full speed, arms wide, screaming his name at the top of their lungs. You're cheating on me with another woman, Nijire gasped. Scrambling away from the older woman, Izuku tried to stutter a response, garnering a hearty laugh from Midnight and the others. Honestly, Izuku, I'm starting to think you don't want me anymore, Nijire pouted. But what, we're not even dating, Izuku shouted, blushing a red mess. We could change that, she sang, then with a small slap on the head stopped. Nijire, stop it before you make Izuku pass out, and let's head on in to the student booth, Mirio said, grinning at his friend's actions. Looking to his sensei, they bowed and thanked her for finding the green bushy-haired boy. No problem, I'm just glad I get to brag to the others about seeing Lil Ragdoll before them, she said, walking away laughing. You said no one else saw that, Izuku pouted, while carrying Nijire on his back. Well, we honestly thought no one else did until we saw a poster of us in the teacher's lounge, Mirio said sheepishly. What? Why would they have a poster of us there? Izuku said, flabbergasted. They said it makes them smile, Nijire said, tapping Izuku to go walk faster so they can get to their seats faster. Izuku was starry-eyed, staring at the field below him. All of UA's students were gathered there for the preliminary round. He couldn't help thinking of what exciting game the school would think of to start off with. And to find out who will advance to the next round, we will start the games with a race, Midnight shouted. All around the crowd quieted. Such a simple thing to start off with. The students will have to race each other through this simple course, but beware of booby traps set up by yours truly, Principal Nizu. Cheers erupted at the newest twist added, while the students became nervous at hearing that their principal had a hand in this course. Ready, go! Izuku was a bit worried once he saw what the first round was. Nijire would be fine and possible Tamaki, but Mirio, well, given his clothes had fallen off already and he was trying to hurry and recover them, gave him all he knew that things were going to turn out as good as he thought they would. It was 15 minutes later and the 42 students to advance were announced, albeit not without a few burns and sprains. Izuku was happy to see Nijire and Tamaki manage to make it through, but given with how many times Mirio accidentally slipped through at the wrong time activating a trap, or needed to gather his clothes, well, Izuku was a bit sad seeing his friend not advance. Mirio, how are you feeling? Izuku asks. Smiling, the older teen looks to his best friend. Like I need to train harder. Nodding his head, Izuku grins. Yeah, and I'll be right by your side. And next year when you compete, you'll get first place. That's right. Next year I'll make it to the next round for sure. Mirio said, this is really going to affect my chance for an internship, he sighed. No, it won't. I mean, sure you didn't advance, but can you imagine how many heroes saw you use your power? There's no way none of them wouldn't want you, Izuku shouted. Shaking his head at his Aizu brother's infectious attitude, he grins. Yeah, you're right. I just have to wait and see who picks me. Unaware of the pro-hero who had been watching the festival uninterested until he caught an eye on Mirio. So much untapped potential. Oh man, can you believe I didn't even make it past the first round? I'm not gonna get any good offers for internships. But wow, Tamaki, you got to the second round, not bad. Nijire recounts. Tamaki smiled at his energetic friend. Thanks. Smiling at the wave user, Izuku shakes his head excitingly. No way, you were amazing, Nijire. You definitely got noticed, and you too, Tamaki, the way you just smacked that guy off the ledge during the fighting round. Where'd you find the time to eat octopus though? Trade secret, he smiled. The four were currently leaving the stadium on their way to Mirio's house to celebrate the end of the sports festival, when a stern voice stopped them. Mirio, Nijire, and Tamaki. Aizawa-sensei, the three yelled, turning around to quickly bow, Mirio pushing Izuku to do the same. How can we help you? Mirio said, smiling. So, this is Ragdoll Jr., huh? Aizawa said, hiding a smile behind his wrap. Yes, indeed, sir. Isn't he just adorable? We found him in an orphanage. Or rather, Mirio did, but decided to keep him, while Tamaki and I decided to join the little family they created, Nijire blurted out. Izuku and Mirio blanched at Nijire's words. Found him in an orphanage? I see. And what school do you go to? I mean, you don't look like you go to any hero school. Aldra Junior High, sir. But I plan to attend here when I'm old enough, Izuku said proudly. Indeed. Izubro here has been training with us since a kid. Although he hates using his quirk in public. Since it's illegal, we've managed to find ways for Izuku to go around that, Mirio said with a thumbs up. Aizawa was silent at the other boy's admission. In truth, he found it adorable the kid followed the quirk laws when so few seldomly do. Look, I don't do this often. But the other teachers still want to meet you, and I'm curious about your quirk, so I'll allow you to train with Mirio and the others in one of UA's training facilities on the weekends, so you don't have to worry too much about going about the illegal quirk usage, Aizawa said nonchalantly. But you'll have to make do with your regular training the rest of the week. The four kids in front of him stood gawking at him, his students surprised mostly that he was being so accommodating. Mr. Aizawa, we thank you so much for this. We promise not to take advantage of your hospitality. Mirio and the others promised, bowing, repeatedly pushing Izuku to do the same. Yes, sir, Izuku said, causing another smile to appear on Aizawa's face. Whatever, here's a student pass for him to use. Now get out of here before I expel you, Aizawa said, walking off. Was he just carrying that around, or did he plan this? Izuku asked. Who knows? But look, we have a training place for the weekends, Mirio shouted, excited at the prospect. Yeah, Nijire shouted. Let's go celebrate. Yeah, Powier, Mirio shouted. Powier, Izuku, Nijire and Tamaki yelled. So, did you meet the boy? Nizu asked. Yeah, he's as innocent as the picture showed him to be. Also, I invited him to train his quirk with Mirio and the others on the weekends here, Aizawa said. Now, why in the world would you do that? Nizu asked, curious. The kid apparently follows quirk laws to a T, and while Mirio and the others train with him, they have trouble with his quirk training since he's such a goob. So, I figured I'd fix that, he shrugged, ignoring the other faculty grinning at the usually stoic man's sweet offer. I see. Well, okay then, I approve of your actions and can't wait to meet the boy, Nizu said before walking off. Wow, you guys do combat practice here every week. Izuku gushed, still not over the fact he was standing in on of Yue's training facility. Yeah, it's so fun kicking each other's butt, Nijire said from Izuku's back. That's right, although I'm still trailing behind on fully controlling my quirk, Miro said sadly. That may be true, Mirio, but isn't that what you're here for? To learn how to fully control it and become the #1 hero, Izuku cheered. Mirio smiled at his best friend. His words of encouragement all he needed to remember his promise he made to Izuku, and that yes, that is why he's going to UA. Yeah, that is why I'm here, Mirio said. While that was a sweet speech and all, you said you came here to train your quirk, so show me what you've got so I know I'm not wasting my weekend. Izuku's eyes shined at seeing the teacher here allowing him to use his quirk. Yeah, okay, but you might want to back up. Taking heed of his words, Aizawa and the others do as he says as Izuku takes a deep breath and ignites himself, surprising the teacher when he sees emerald flames surrounding the boy, followed by the flames moving and lifting the dumbbells on the side. Once he's done showing the telekinetic part of his quirk, he releases the weights and shoots off flames from his hands, setting the targets in front of him on fire. This kid has ample control of his quirk already, Aizawa said. Just wait, Mirio said, making Aizawa look back to the boy who continued to spew flames and started panicking. Mirio, it's happening again, Izuku yelled, running around as the flames continued to be released from his hands, setting everything in his vicinity on fire, as well as his shirt. This is why we've been trying to train him. He still hasn't learned how to turn off the flames, Mirio says, going to Izuku, so he could knock him out. Instead, Aizawa just activated him quirk, turning off Izuku's. A few moments later, the fire sprinklers went off, soaking everyone, as well as a frowning eraser head. What did I get myself into? Well, obviously you need to learn self-restraint or control, either one, and maybe invest in some fireproof clothes, Aizawa suggested. That sounds good, but I can't afford the fireproof clothes, Izuku said. I'll just have to work on the self-control. Sighing because he already knew he was somehow getting too attached to the kid, he shook his head. Yue has gym clothes that are fireproof, take a pair, and I'll let Nizu know I allowed you to. For now, since I know what I'm starting with, you four can go and we'll start back tomorrow with Izuku dressed properly, he says, looking pointedly at Izuku. Yelping, Izuku runs towards the changing room to find a spare shirt, Mirio and the others following close behind. May I ask why you're doing so much for this boy? Nizu inquires, showing up when the others are fully gone. I don't know, I guess I feel bad for the kid having been dealt such a shitty hand, Aizawa shrugged. Seems like least I could do is help the kid reach his dream of being a hero, seeing as he has some potential. Well, alright then. But that uniform is coming out of your pocket, Nizu says, walking away. Figured. A week later. So, guys, who did you get for your internships? Izuku asked, practically jumping out of his seat in the cafe they were in. Well, I accepted Ryuko's agency invite, Nijire said proudly. Fatgum wanted me, so I accepted, Tamaki whispered. Whoa, that's amazing, you got such great heroes. Ryuko's an upcoming hero who is already in the top 30s while Fat Gum isn't as high but still popular and has an exclusive agency. Izuku said starry-eyed at his friends. Then looking to Mirio, "What about you, Mirio?" He was worried at first because of his results, but like Izuku said, his thoughts were unfounded, because he did get an invite by a hero who Izuku would probably like himself. "I got invited to Sir Night Eye's agency," Mirio said proudly. "No way. Sir Night Eye was All Might's only sidekick. Once they split up, he made his own agency. The fact you got picked is amazing, Mirio. I knew heroes would want you," Izuku said in awe of his best bro's power. Yeah, Izuku's always right," Mirio said, rolling his eyes. Izuku was walking to meet Mirio and the others at Dagoba Beach before heading to Mirio's house. They said they had a surprise for him to make up for being so busy with their internships, which he didn't mind. Of course, he knew they would be busy with having such high-profile heroes as their mentors, but then again, his friends were so caring. "Okay, Izuku. Now that you're here, we can reveal to you the surprise we had for you," Nijire said, jumping up and down in front of the broccoli-haired boy, pausing for dramatic effect. "We have your hero names finalized." "Whoa, really? You guys didn't have to do that. I still have a while to go till I need one," Izuku said sheepishly. "Nonsense, Izuku. You can never be too prepared. Now come on, we worked hard on them," Mirio smiled. "It's true," Tamaki whispered. Realizing they weren't going to take no for an answer, Izuku nodded his head and followed his friends back to Mirio's house. Izuku thought about it, and Mirio was right. You can never be too prepared in the hero profession. If he wanted to stand by Mirio's side, then he had to always be prepared. "Guys, are you serious? This is like the costume debacle 6 months ago," Izuku deadpanned as he stared at the names they had created for him. He'll admit they were quite creative with their nicknames for him, but as for using them for his hero alias, that was a no-go. "Well, I guess I could work with that one," he thought. When he looked up to ask Mirio and the others if they had anything else, he immediately felt bad for rejecting them all. In front of him were his senpais, huddled together, hugging one another with tears in their eyes and pouting at the younger boy. You really don't want to look at the names we came up with," Izuku and Nijire sniffled. "I mean, it's not that I don't like them. I just think no one would take me serious with any of them," Izuku said, reaching out to hug the older girl only to get turned away. "Oh wow, she really is sad," he thought. Looking to the other two, he saw they also were crying and immediately felt bad. He found it was an impossible task getting the sight of these older teens crying because of him out of his head. "God damn it. I'm really gonna consider these, aren't I?" Looking at the older teens who were wiping each other's tears dramatically, he sighed. "Who am I even kidding? Of course I am." "But Izabru, we worked so hard on them," Mirio said, putting his face in Tamaki's shoulder. "Why don't you take another look-see?" Tamaki whispered before going back to the group hug. Deciding it wouldn't kill him too, Izuku nodded, not wanting to hurt his friends anymore. The 3 teens instantly perked up as they picked out their favorite hero name. "I can't believe I fell for those crocodile tears," he mumbled. "So, this one is mine," Nijire said, holding up a poster with the name Muscle Boy, the beefcake. Izuku looks away, awkwardly nodding. "Let's put that one in the it's possible list, yeah." Smiling, Nijire goes to tell Tamaki before already seeing the quiet boy has 3 spots done for the names. "Got it. There's a this has potential, maybe and no thanks spot." "Alright, let's see. What do you have, Mirio?" Izuku asked, already regretting his words. "Oh, you're gonna love mine." Introducing Innocent Boi, the cinnamon roll on his poster was an actual cinnamon roll. Izuku felt himself cringe. Honest to God cringe at his big bro's hero alias for him. "Oh wow, well now that is just a really nice name and well." "I knew it." Tamaki put it in the has potential pile. Mirio yelled, happy his little bro loved his name, oblivious to the second-hand embarrassment Izuku was going through. The things I do for these guys, Izuku thought, secretly dying inside. Tamaki, you're up, Izuku said. I made the broccoli boi alias, Tamaki said, raising up the poster with a piece of broccoli with eyes on it. I mean, I don't hate it, but I don't love it, Izuku said quietly. So that's a maybe, Tamaki said, nodding, putting his name in the maybe pile next to Nijire's. How did you get that? Never mind. What's next? Izuku sighed, getting physically tired. The three upperclassmen looked to each other, silently communicating to one another before nodding. Why am I getting a bad feeling about this? Izuku chuckled. I think you'll really like this next one, Izuku, Nijire smiled. I do at least, before raising a poster with the name Lemillion Jr. on it. Izuku spluttered at the hero alias he did not see when he first searched through the name pile, while Mirio gave a hearty laugh at his friend. Nijire's right, Izuku, it would suit you just fine. What better way to announce to the world that we're a hero duo than with matching hero aliases, Mirio joked. I can see it now. Top 10 pro heroes Lemillion and Lemillion Jr. save the day again. Put it in the potential pile, Nijire, Izuku murmured, surprising the trio. Initially Nijire made it as a joke, but she should have known Izuku would consider the name. She smiled softly at the younger boy before putting it in the potential pile. Mirio, on the other hand, was on the side trying to hide his tears from the others, with Tamaki patting his back. I'm not crying. I just have something in my eyes. Oh, who am I kidding? Izaburo is too pure. My little Lemillion Jr. After taking a short break for lunch, the group got back to finding Izuku's hero name. Okay, Izuku. This is our last one and we think it's a real winner, Mirio yelled, Tamaki and Nijire nodding. Izuku couldn't contain his excitement, already knowing which one it was and agreeing with them that it was one of his top choices for a hero alias. Introducing pyrokinesis hero, Flame Riot, the three yelled in unison. Izuku stared at the name starry-eyed, unable to look away. It was such a cool name, and although some would say it paid tribute to former pro hero Crimson Riot, Izuku still thought that this name was the coolest. Well, aside from Lemillion Jr., yeah, Flame Riot's the one, Izuku thought. So, what do you say, Izuku? Do you like it? Nijire asked, floating around the younger boy, who hadn't spoken in a few minutes. Finally tearing his eyes away from the poster, Izuku looked to his friends. With glossy eyes, he nods, thanking them for all the consideration they put into these names. He knows how busy they must have been at school, it being their second year, and all but for them to push off their schoolwork to do this means a lot. Bift, making time for you in school is nothing, Nijire said, messing up the slightly taller boy's hair. Hey, when the heck did you get taller? Last time we hung out, I was way taller than you. Now you're almost the same height as Tamaki? Nijire pouted. Mirio took a double take after looking at Izuku and saw that Nijire's words were correct. Izuku no longer stood at his regular 5 feet 2 inches height, but now was around 5 feet 7 inches, and was far fitter than they had last saw him. How in the world did they miss Izuku changing so much in the time they were at UA? Izubro, why are you growing up so fast without my permission? Mirio yelled, quickly snagging a picture of the four of them to preserve the moment. I'm sorry guys, but I'm just following your workout plan like you advised me to, Mirio, Izuku mumbled, not wanting to see his best friends cry again. It's okay, Izuku. This just means we have to visit you more often, Mirio yelled, fist pumping the air, the others following him. Hearing this, Izuku couldn't help smiling ear to ear. Mirio won't mind if I take a day off, Izuku laughed to himself as he continued his walk, eating the chips he had bought. Izuku had decided to take a nice walk alongside the beach. He decided to clean up alongside his best friend 2 years ago. Deciding this was a nice enough spot to stop at, he sits himself down on a bench beside a skeletal-looking man with blonde hair. Closing his eyes, Izuku soaks up the sun, content with just listening to the sound of the waves. That is until the gaunt man decides to break the silence. Something on your mind, young man? The sickly man asks. Opening his eyes, Izuku looks to his left to see the blonde adult looking to him with a softness in his eyes he's only ever seen with Mirio and most recently Aizawa-sensei. For some reason it makes Izuku want to open to the man. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I hear talking to people is good for you, he says with a smile that Izuku can swear he's seen before. Thanking the man, Izuku decides that there's no harm in talking to him, especially since his friends are currently busy with their internships and school to talk with him. It's not their fault, but he doesn't really have anyone else. I'm just a bit lonely, I guess, Izuku says sheepishly. The man looked at this young boy confused. He couldn't be older than 14, so he should have plenty of friends. Along with that, what of his parents? My boy, why is that? He asked. My best friends are currently going to U.A to train to be heroes, so I don't really have anyone to hang out with or talk with when I need to. They try to make time for me, but they can barely visit me every few weeks, sighing. Izuku shrugs. I mean, we have the weekends for my quirk training, but even those have been cut down given that their schoolwork has been heavier. But I'm happy for them because in a year I'll be right by their side training to be a hero, and then Mirio and I will be the best hero duo in the world, Izuku exclaims to the blonde. Izuku, seeing the confusion on the blonde man's face, goes on to explain who Mirio is. Mirio was my first real friend after I got put in an orphanage when my mom was killed in a villain attack a few years ago, and my dad wanted nothing to do with me, and everyone abandoned me for thinking I was quirkless. Without him, I'm not sure I'd be where I am today. Blushing when he realizes how much he revealed, Izuku begins to apologize. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk so much, and I even forgot to introduce myself. I'm Izuku Midoriya. Pleasure to meet you. Toshinori Yagi has never been speechless, but right now speaking to this kid. He can honestly say he has no words to convey what he's thinking. No, I apologize, I haven't even introduced myself. I am Toshinori Yagi. But if you don't mind me asking, are you really quirkless? Toshinori asks. Shaking his head, Midoriya explains, no, I have a quirk. Cool one too. I've just never shown anyone besides Mirio, Nijire and Tamaki. Those are my friends. You know the whole, unless you have a hero license then you're breaking the law thing. Well, my mom taught me to always follow that rule, and I have even after she died, Izuku says. Because of that, no one associates themselves with me just because I won't show my quirk to them, so they all assume I'm quirkless. My boy, that is quite admirable of you. But wouldn't it be easier to just show everyone what your quirk is and stop the bullying? No. I promised my mom I would wait until I got into a hero school and I will, Izuku said with a fire in his eyes. The only reason I made an exception for Mirio is because we made a promise to get into UA together and become the best hero duo ever, and I don't intend on breaking that promise. This boy. Looking at the time, Izuku saw that it was almost nearing curfew and was mildly upset that he had to leave because it was nice having someone to talk to. Well, Mr. Yagi, it was nice talking to you, but I have to go, it's almost curfew and I don't really want to get in trouble with the person in charge at my orphanage, Izuku said with a smile that surprised Toshinori. This boy still has the spirit to smile even with everything he's been dealt with. He truly has the heart of a hero, Yagi thought, as he watched Izuku walk away from him. What's got All Might frowning? I thought you were the hero that was supposed to always smile, Aizawa drawled. I met a boy yesterday, All Might says. Aizawa drops his coffee at All Might's confession. What? All Might looked to his colleague to see why he dropped his coffee and realizes how he sounds. God no. Aizawa, I talked to this teen yesterday who caught my attention. Not helping. Look, he sat next to me and had this look in his eye as if he had to grow up far faster than someone his age should have. And when I asked if he wanted to talk, I learned how much this kid had to deal with, All Might explains. I mean, his mother dying from a villain attack, then his father abandoning him, putting him in an orphanage. Aizawa sips his newly made coffee, then taking a moment he looks to the number 1 hero. His name didn't happen to be Izuku Midoriya, did it? All Might couldn't hide his surprise even if he tried. How did you know that? Because I've been helping the kid with his quirk control since he was 13, Aizawa reveals. By now, All Might wasn't sure he should even try to hide his surprise or let it out. Really? How did the kid even get access? I also felt bad for the kid and offered him access to UA's training facility the day I met him. Which coincidentally was also after the day I offered Mirio tickets for him to the sports festival on the condition they give me the picture they took dressed up as the Wild Wild Pussycats. First off, I need to see that picture. Second, if I didn't know any better, I would say you care about the boy Aizawa. All Might, I've known this kid for about a year and a half, and if anything were to happen to him, I would kill everyone I know than myself, Aizawa said with a straight face. My God, you really care for the boy, All Might said with a chuckle. Yeah, I hate it. I'm already halfway through the adoption papers. Pfft, you softy. Sir Knight Eye Agency. Mirio. Yes, sir. You've done well with your time here, and your control over your quirk has improved immensely. I'm very proud of you, Sir Knight, I said before relieving Mirio from his office. As Mirio walked out, he couldn't help keeping the huge grin off his face. He knew he was improving, but to have someone like Sir acknowledge it was proof that all his training with Izuku and the help he was receiving from Sir himself wasn't for nothing. Izuku, I'm almost there. All Might, I believe I found you the perfect candidate for OFA, Sir Knight, I said over the phone. All Might nodded. Forgetting Sir couldn't see him through the phone, he answered, I see. Give me a few days to look him over. I feel I found a good candidate too, he said, looking at a picture of a green-haired boy dressed in a ragdoll costume. Very well.
That's it for today. Remember to show your support to the creator of this story if you enjoyed it. If you would like more parts of the story to be uploaded, leave a comment and subscribe to get notified when the story continues. Bye-bye for now, and I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day.